don't wait for like the big trip. Don't wait for the big camera. You know, I think you look at so many things like a good country music sounds like 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the same thing applies to everything. Like, you know, find your truth, which is just where you are. And 3 chords. It's sort of a little camera.
Yeah, 1 camera.
Yeah.
1 camera and a subject. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Duane, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Love you, man. This is awesome. It's always a good time coming down here.
Yeah, it is. Makes me happy each time. You know what's funny is for a long time I just didn't go here because like I started getting attracted to all these like urban spots where I'm like in an instant, like in 12 minutes from my house, I can get into some place. And this in the winter, you can walk all the way out to the lake. I mean,
is it ice?
It'll go out, but it all the lake drops and you can walk way out there.
Wow.
But it's like the whole point is like I don't have to go that far, and I can have something that's crazy like this, and all of a sudden it'd be loud, and then it goes quiet.
Yeah.
And so there's that escape and that ability to get.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool. Oh, look at this thing. See how stable it is?
Yeah, it's not that stable.
Can people still go in the lake, or is it still like? Oh, really?
Oh yeah, you can. This is a funny thing. You could drop in here and go all the way down to the lake, and there's like the strangest places, like strange.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Here we go.
Here we go. That's the other funny thing about the Utah Valley is, like part of it's just ugly. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Except then, you're like, then if you like dig in a little bit, it's like even that. The other day I was taking photos of it because it's so like quirky.
No, it's weird.
Like,
then you get these crazy birds here too. That's the thing that blows my mind.
I think we'll get rid of more of the sound too as we get out and dip down a little bit.
I know, this is already looking really cool.
But also you start getting like pretty little, like that, there.
It's so cool.
See, just like a little.
So what kind of bird is that?
That's a red wing blackbird.
I see a lot of those down here. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Mindful Mentorship. We're here with Duane Call. Duane, thanks for being here.
Thanks,
and Duane, where are we?
Provo, Utah. It's my hometown.
Yep.
Moved here in 3rd grade. And I didn't really dig in and get exploring till I think I was like 40 or something.
Really?
But we're down here at Utah Lake where the Hobble Creek flows into Utah Lake, and I think it starts at Strawberry and works its way down, and so we're down here on the edge.
The very edge.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how long have you been coming down here taking photos?
You know, like I said, it's peculiar. I lived here for so long, and usually you'd go to like, we're gonna go to La Jolla, go to the beach or something, or we're gonna go to, Lake Powell or something, which is awesome. But I got a camera. This is honest truth. And when I got the camera, I was like, I started shooting around my house and people. And then I started going like, well, gosh, like I had to go out and get a sunset. Or I had to go out and catch a tree. And I started like, each thing I'd find, I'd go a little further. I'm like, I should hike up the mountain that's right behind my house.
Yeah.
I should go down the lake that's right down the street from me. And it kind of started this this passion or interest where I just thought like, gosh, 3 times a week I try and go someplace new every single time. Like I said, I haven't been on this path before. It's awesome. I can do that the rest of my life and see something new every day.
That's really cool. And like, was it just like pure curiosity that led you to just start coming down here and taking photos, or like yeah, like you said, like you're like, oh, I want to chase this tree or take a photo of this, but yeah, like what's kind of like that motivation, that drive that gets you down here like every morning? Because you come here quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah. It's strange is I feel like I don't know, when you were like little, like 12 or something, 8, and there was kind of like a make-believe spot you'd go where you got to just craft things you wanted, and you could, like, strangely, when you're young, turn off everything, and you go in. It might be like with the little army people, and you set up these whole things, but like completely unaware of anything around you, and you were just in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably that. It's like that same curiosity just sparks something. It's like gosh, there's something there to be discovered.
Yeah. Kind of get lost in your own world a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. And we want to know a little bit about just like what we do, the people we shoot, we interview. They all kind of have like their own journey to their so-called obsession or their passion, you know, the certain thing that they do. And we try to talk about how like it relates to mindfulness and just kind of being one with yourself, having that quiet mind, that quiet place to really connect with your inner thoughts and things like that. And we want to ask, like, how is photography, being outside in nature, sort of a meditative practice for you?
Sure, I think it goes back to that. I hadn't thought about it, because right back to what I said, like when you were young, there was some ability to turn off everything around you and just go inward. You didn't have to go far. You didn't have to have a lot. There was, it could be a couple sticks in the gutter, and you were suddenly just there in that moment. And I think that's hard. I think nowadays, where you grow up and you have a job, you have a family, you could love them all, but that ability to turn off and just pause things for a moment. And when I have my camera, some people are like, oh, isn't that a distraction? You're just I'm like, it just refines my focus, because all of a sudden I am paying attention to like something moving or something just sitting there. And I can, some people hike to have these like I'm going to summit every mountain. I'm I could care less. Like I could get just 50 yards down the path and see, I think on the other side of this, there were dragonflies. I didn't get like 100 yards down the path and I was just stuck with the dragonflies for the next like 2 hours, just waiting for them to land on a cattail. It's beautiful.
That's so cool. I love that. Yeah, I think there's something about just taking like an hour from your day, or and even like not going far, and just being with yourself and being mindful, being alone with your thoughts. And when you have like a practice, whether it be photography or even just walking, you don't even have to be shooting a camera. I think just like walking can be a meditative practice in itself. But I really like how you kind of created your own world down here, and you keep coming back here to gain more and more insight, about yourself or your life or everything. But we kind of just want to follow you around today and just see what we get, see what we stumble upon. So
we might not get further than a few feet.
Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see. Let's do it. What does it take for you to stop and take a photo?
This, like, look at right there. I told you. Do you see that little?
The dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
We already got one right there. So you try to act kind of like as a fly on the wall too, like just observing.
100%. Because I don't really want to bother them much.
Yeah.
But look how light and delicate.
Oh wow. It kind of blends in with the.
And I didn't quite get them in focus, but you got all the little rays of that piece, and that's just. And sometimes in the spring, each of those will have the dew, and it sticks to them. And I had a macro lens. I just got stuck.
Yeah.
And the droplets of water, and I was like, oh, each one was this little universe. And there's this, I couldn't get far down the thing because I thought I was going to hike up into the mountains down south, and I didn't.
So it's never really you have like an end goal every time you come out. It's
No.
just whatever, and here they come.
Like,
here they are.
Like I told you, it's terrible.
We might just be here for the whole.
Yeah, we
rest of
might
the
not
time.
get far. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Just want to get this one guy in focus. And
So did you start off with photography first, or like what led you to pick up the camera? Has it always just been photography, or was it something else?
you know what's funny is I just found, my mom brought over a book. I made when I was little. It was called, it's on brown paper. It's like this big, on that stuff you get in school. I think in like 3rd grade or 2nd grade, I made this book. It's called Duane's Bird Book. And I sat with like an Audubon Society book, and I copied my favorite birds out of it and drew them in this little bird book. And so later in high school, I thought I'd love to be on like the yearbook staff in photography, and like it was fun. Like it was kind of all my little punk rock friends liked it. There's Reed, I won't even say his name because we're on camera. But his name was Reed, but we called him Weed. But I loved it. The photography was like capturing these moments. You go around the school and see people and get them just in the right moment, like doing something. And then I got into college and I thought, well, I want to do photojournalism, but I really want to be like, work for National Geographic. And so I got into college at BYU. I remember I started, so I was into photojournalism, marine biology, but I got there and I didn't have any money. And the camera, the lens, the film, the paper, the chemicals, it bust me. So I was like, I stopped. And I stopped from like 25 until almost 40.
So you kind of had a full circle moment, like you were
100%. I came right back to what I cared about, what had just turned me on as a youth. I'm like this. I could just be out here and like
just taking photos
in my own world and just pause. And it's now mine. I have complete control, but I'm just in it. So
yeah, I love that.
We'll see. I'll have to tell you about when I find like the antlers, elk antlers on that hill over there. Same thing. I went out there and I kid you not, I pretend like I'm an elk. I'd put my arms out like this. It's ridiculous. And I'd walk up the hill and I'd pretend like if I was an elk and I was walking up the hill.
Like, where would I go?
What would I do? Where would I want to look at? Where would I feel safe? And I just sat there and I'm like, I'd walk slowly up the hill. I'm like, I wouldn't go here. And then I'd follow kind of where I'd seen their steps. I'm like, oh, they've done this for thousands of years. And I just followed them, and I was like, I'd get tired of carrying my antlers here, so I'd sit there, and I'd hit this tree. I'd be like, I kid you not, like right there, this big huge elk antler. And I'm like, thank you. I picked it up, and I'm like, I still have one on my head. So I'm like, put my arm out like this. I acted like I'm eating, and like right up here, the next one. I was like, awesome. And then I had these 2 antlers. I start walking down the mountain, and then I'm like, what would I keep doing? And so I look ridiculous with these antlers, but it was awesome because I was like, I was, for all intents and purposes, elk. I look across and there's these, the bighorn sheep. Had no idea there'd be bighorn sheep wandering along the edge of Slate Canyon.
That's pretty close for them to be,
Well, I was a ways up.
Okay.
Yeah. I was up
you went up there.
But all of a sudden they were there, and so I sat and acted like I'm just an elk walking over to join them on the slope eating. I'm like, I'm not from here to Neff with these bighorn sheep laying there, one of the kids, mom and dad, probably some of their buddies.
And they're totally just chilling, like they don't mind you being there.
Didn't mind me there. I had my antlers still up.
You're one of them. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think it looks like we don't get further than this. It gets pretty Sufi.
It is. Duane, what camera are you shooting on?
Canon 5D Mark IV, and on the Sigma 150 to 600 lens.
Is this the camera you first started shooting on when you started coming down here?
I started on a Canon point and shoot, but
something kind of like this, just very like small lens, nothing.
Totally, it fixed crazy lens, and it had some features on it like shutter lag and that, where I could do cool stuff with lighting. And I'd snap like 1,000 photos at one party. And then at the end of the party, we'd watch the photos on the TV and just like look at it.
Kind of like a story, like start to finish. Okay.
And then this one I got maybe a decade ago. At I think one in between, and then this one I got thinking I'd do more like studio work. I'm like,
yeah.
But then I was like, oh, I don't know. It gets me out every morning.
Yeah. Are you like? Would you say you're like opposed to like very directed, commercialized like photography kind of stuff like that, or are you kind of just a photo's a photo?
You do you. Well, and it's not. What I choose to do is me. There's so many ways to,
capture a photograph.
Or just, enjoy a moment. And I have friends who are total birders and know all the names, and I think I resist that a little bit because sometimes when I think about a bird, I'm like, it's not even a bird. It's this black light thing interacting with a color and a breeze, and like giving a name like a kingdom filing species or something or whatever. It's like feels like you've just boxed it into. It's like now it's not even like beautiful. It's just like this.
It's categorized.
Yeah, I'm like, just let it be.
Yeah.
Just like it's this movement. Sometimes just like it's like a song out with interacting with the breeze, and so I always think I kind of like just letting it exist as a movement.
Yeah.
Or a stillness.
With that being said, kind of like letting things being still. Like, why do you think that's important for you? Maybe not to say with your photography, but just like with your well-being, like kind of focus on like wellness and just like having just a clear mind. Like why do you think that's important?
I think sometimes there's a trying to control, trying to fight against or manipulate the things around us. Could be your money, could be your sprinkler system, or trying to, it feels like there's a certain tension that never lets you relax sometimes, and kind of the industrial, I don't know if you call it industrial, but whatever it is, the modern world. And I think as soon as I leave that, I just try and join in with it, not try and control everything, and say, it's grass, let it grow. It's water, let it flow. There's just something that I can take a breath, that otherwise I feel like I'm trying to, or I just let myself breathe. Whereas you're always like controlling everything, like I'm having to deliver a speech to a group of people and trying to control their emotions and their reaction. And at one point, I don't want to control everything. Just exist.
Yeah, we interviewed a breathwork coach, and like with his meditative practice, like just the act of breathing itself is just so meditative, and it's like there's so many things in life we can't control. Like we can't control when the dragonfly is going to come land on the cattail, or like when the bird's going to fly across as we take the shot. But like one thing you can focus on is just like your breath and just breathing. And I think being out here for me, like sometimes when I come out to take photos, like I'm just like one track minded, like, oh, I need to get this shot, or like I need to chase a certain thing, or like I have it envisioned in my head already, like what I want it to look like when I come home and edit. But sometimes that like robs me of the moment of just being out here. Like, if we take a second, you hear that, it's just quiet, and just being here. And I think that itself could be more worth the shot, or the end product, just like that, the physical act of just being here, being in the moment, being away from life out there, and just enjoying what's in front of you.
Well stated.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny, I can hear the birds on this side
and the freeway.
There's some freeway there.
But it's kind of cool that the
exactly.
blend.
Like I said, because I don't know that I need to escape necessarily. I want to coexist, because it's awesome that we have technology.
Yeah.
We've like learn
you got
to do
to,
things
yeah.
we've got it. And so I think like I don't need to escape it and leave it permanently. I enjoy having a body and a camera and something to keep my head warm. I don't mind a little technology, but I like being able to fit it all together and coexist with it. And so, yeah, I don't need to leave everything permanently. Back to being 12-year-old, you know, you're playing with a stick in a gutter. And
it's like it's the coolest thing in the world.
Coolest thing in the world. I could race those down the gutter. It's like exact same here. I'm like, I could sit there and watch a little bubble in the water float across, and like, oh, what would it be like to live on that bubble and float with the water? It's a strange thought, but you're like, there's some little micro something in there floating around.
Yeah,
it's its own little,
there's life. There's this whole ecosystem that we're just part of.
Now you don't even see it. So
that's really cool. Oh, look at, is that a robin?
Yeah, it's just awesome waiting for us.
Yeah. He knew you'd be down here. I know photography can be considered like an art practice of some sort, but do you think there's like an artistic approach for you with your photography or coming down here at all? Like kind of our example of like the driftwood, like creating like a cool composition or a cool shot, where you kind of like taking that abstract approach of just letting things be, but like are there times where you do try to implement like an artistic approach to what you're trying to capture?
Sure. I think it's funny, over the years I've struggled a little bit with the concept of art. Just, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like,
Now I get that.
I won't fight that. I think like it's again, sometimes I feel like it's like the bird we were talking about, like you know, it's an abstract impressionist piece that exudes the 60s something philosophical revolution. I'm like, maybe.
Or it's just a black stroke on a white piece of paper.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like, I mean, I have my own aesthetic and composition when I think of something like oh, I like to have things balanced, so there's this piece at the top and at the bottom. And I don't know why.
And this is what you like.
Yeah, it's what I like. And when I look for it, I kind of like seeing it, or I like a reflection. So I guess it's there's something about it that I can come out and look for it. It's like look for something that resonates for me. And like, again, I'm usually surprised that like it could be something new every time. So sure, there's like an art to it, or craft. But there's an art and a craft to the way you choose to clothe yourself, or
whether you're intentionally thinking you're or not. It's like it's always gonna have some artistic
I don't know if like
traits.
art's like your personal expression or something. You know, maybe. Yeah. Like I said, it's a strange concept. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put one exact label of like, oh, is this art or is this just? Yeah.
And I get a little like, and sometimes you put off like, this is art. I'm like, maybe. I'm sure it is. But
to someone it could be. To someone else it could just But like, doesn't really matter.
I don't like to be told sometimes what I need to appreciate or not. I like. Like I said, I could sit down right in the middle of this and have a magical experience that maybe transcends standing in the Louvre with 10,000 people. That'll be one of the 5 million to see the Mona Lisa. And it's a fine thing too. There's nothing wrong with that. I did it. I can't.
We got the airports right by us too. That's cool. You ever mix in like industrial subjects 100%. With the nature, like if an airplane comes by or a boat or like, you know?
So my favorite shots are I down standing in the woods like this. There was these birds and airplanes at the same time crossing in front of between me and the sunset. It was magical because I'm like who doesn't want to fly?
Yeah.
Like it's a wonderful experience, and like the fact that we have a plane that we, you know, can take off and be however 25,000 feet or whatever it is we fly at. I think that's magical. Why not?
That's
and I don't need to hate on anything. It's you know, a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, anything's be the end of the video.
I'll have to make sure I get something
what we're capturing.
Awesome.
That's quite. I love how we maybe walked like what, a couple hundred yards. Like, I mean,
you hear them?
Yeah. Okay. So they're all down there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here comes a new one.
Oh, and that's a different one. Oh, that's different than the ones down in there. Isn't that great? Oh, there's another one. That one's like the other, so there's 2 different types in there right now. Oh, oh my gosh. That's so cool.
I love the beak.
Yeah.
The yellow on the beak's really pretty.
Yeah. That's awesome. Look.
See how that turned out. It's so cool.
See, like, and we're just not that far out.
No, not at all.
Equipment. I didn't need to do anything. And you can like sit down here. And there's some ugly parts. And they're like, that's fine.
Yeah, just let it be.
You can't, again, you can't control everything. You just kind of.
Yeah. Mossy ground. And one thing we always like to ask people who we interview, and for our channel and everyone, you know, we try to make these videos to be educational, but also to help people kind of get started on their own journey. You know, like someone could be watching this and have been like, oh, I've been wanting to take photos, but like I don't have this camera, I don't know where to go. I'm like here in this area, they can be anywhere in the world, but you know, for you kind of talked about like you just went right up outside of your house, went up the hill or came down 10 minutes to the lake and stuff like that. So for anyone watching, like what piece of advice would you give them, like how and what do you need to do to kind of just get started on their journey for whether it be photography or kind of any sort of meditative practice, or you know, just any activity that kind of brings you peace, brings them peace and stuff like that? What would you have to say?
Close to home and with what you've got. I think back to that piece, that's what gives its unique feel, or it's like I didn't have to go far from home. It's 15 minutes from our doorstep. And I think just taking the time and then just exploring, just pause, walk out someplace, pick someplace you've never been before that's close to home. Don't wait for like the big trip. Don't wait for the big camera. You know, I think you look at so many things like, what's that, like, I think it's like a good country music sounds like 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the same thing applies to everything. Like, you know, find your truth, which is just where you are. And 3 chords, it's sort of a little camera.
Yeah, 1 camera.
Yeah.
1 camera and a subject. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Duane, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Love you, man. This is awesome. It's always a good time coming down here.
Yeah, it is. Makes me happy each time.
Duane, so how do you transition from like starting off your morning, you know, being in nature, then having to go back to reality? Like what's that transition like for you? Like, do you like to edit your photos right away, or do you kind of like, all right, like I'll go to work, do family stuff, and then it's kind of like the end of your day, you see what you got that morning, and then how does that go?
That's, you know, I've entered a new chapter of life out of this. I had a brother pass away about 8 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when that happened, I like turned off all my social media. I think when my last post was like a picture of him with his kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really have an answer, but I felt like, oh gosh, I'm like, hey, I'm posting photos of and like keeping in touch with all the people I care about, but by these images, and then and all of a sudden I felt like, oh no, I'm not. I didn't go to see him in New York.
Yeah.
But like twice in my life. I didn't know his children because, like, hey, I saw their photos on Instagram. I'd heart them.
Yeah, it's so easy to kind of check off the boxes, like, oh, I did this, like doing like the bare minimum.
And the same and there was something with my photos. I haven't quite reconciled how I want to approach that. I was like, oh, look at that little yellow bird
do we
again.
have a carcass?
Oh yeah, awesome. Some little bird little robin got taken down by some little
something.
animal.
Yeah.
It's
take a photo of that.
Smells a little bit.
It smells a little funky, but
Yeah, a little rich. But, oh look, there's a little yellow bird in there. Right, you barely see him. He's down and right there.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And he's
Totally
just
camouflaged. That's so tiny.
so tiny. But so I don't know what with my photos, I'm like I want to do something I haven't edited as much. I'll look at them and appreciate them, and I know that there's something there that's interesting, but I have to kind of think of if I want to do something or not. I don't know, Atticus.
And sometimes it could be just a personal thing just to have them, you know?
Exactly.
I think for me, like with my paintings, it's like I have at least like 50 to 100 things I have even like taken the time to look at, you know, but they're there.
They're there.
You know,
I totally
maybe I'll
agree.
do something with them in you know, the near future, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's
meanwhile,
nice just to have them. Or it's more kind of just that moment when I was painting, you know, or when I was taking the photo. It's like I kind of already got what I needed to get out of it, you know. It's like
Atticus, that might be what.
Yeah.
I think that might be it. Maybe I got what I needed out of it. I was out here. I had a moment with Atticus and the man behind the camera.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a little. Let's see if I can get that.
Oh, he's right there. You called him over.
A second. Oh,
There he goes.
come back. So they get super friendly,
Yeah.
and the longer we stay out here, the more they'd hang out with us. A second. Let's see if he comes back to that one. Oh, but like what?
That is so cool. Looks like a little tennis ball with wings.
Totally does. But look, him caught in the little light in the.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting to nest.
Yeah, he likes nests.
It's okay.
Wow. Wow. They're totally circling us. Have you picked up on any the calls and stuff like that, or?
I'll have my own that I feel like they're like, what is
It's like,
that?
oh, that's Duane's call. Duane's here.
Yeah, they're like, it's a strange bird. Yeah, I have all my little fake calls.
Or you do your antlers, you know?
I do my antlers and my fake call, and I'll do my eating noises like.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, he's just like me, he's just out here getting a little food.
Just trying to get something to eat.
Yeah. Gosh, that was
That was a
good.
moment. That was cool.
Yeah.